you on Archie, douglAR? What you on right now, douglAR? facts, not fiction. Of course, we want to welcome each and every one of you, our local, regional, and our international viewers and callers. Today we will be opening the phone lines very early, very early into the program. We would be opening the phone lines. We want to hear from you today. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from you as we continue to prepare for what is at hand, what would be ahead of us very shortly. Taking into consideration what is happening within our country, where it seems as though there is no end to what is happening, where it seems that we are on autopilot and the plane, I remember as a little boy, there was this movie that we call Fantasy Island, and there was this little short boy they called Tattoo, and he would say, "Boss, the plane is coming." Well, in this case, it appears as though that the plane is going, and where the plane is going is of utmost importance because, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot see that at this point in time in our country, what is happening, what is going on, and you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, still dormant, still not serious about where the plane is heading. I know for a fact that you are quite sure that the pilot has since lost control of the plane, and in this case the plane would be Trinidad and Tobago. The pilot, Keith Rowley, have lost control of the plane, and the direction in which the plane is heading, ladies and gentlemen, it is in the place where you would regret not standing up as citizens in this country to save the country, to save the future generation, to save your children, to save your grandchildren, and to save the unborn babies who would come into this country only to suffer, only to face destruction. And it's because you, the citizens of this country, have decided to do absolutely nothing to protect the future and the future generation from the pain that they would experience, from the agony and the anguish that is sitting on the horizon, just waiting. You and I, ladies and gentlemen, we have the opportunity to defend our democracy. You and I ought to be defenders of our democracy. You and I ought to be defenders of our children. We ought to be defenders of our grandchildren. We ought to stand in the gap, ladies and gentlemen, to ensure the protection of the future generation is fenced within a perimeter that they would be able to benefit from what you was once benefiting from, which is the resources and the wealth of this country. You have allowed a madman, you have allowed a dictator, you have allowed an insane individual, a man with no moral standards, a man, ladies and gentlemen, without moral and spiritual values. The foundation of our country were birthed on these values from the inception. But to the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you have since surrendered those values because you have decided that an individual, that a group of persons were more important than the values that were instilled in you as a child. So often we refers back to the bringing up of ourselves by our parents. We so often reflect on the way in which we were brought up, where morning and good evening and please and thank you were part of our daily conversation. Today in our society, we as parents, some of us, we have allowed the brutal behavior of some politicians to infest our mind and to remove the values that we no longer see what is right and say it is right. We no longer see what is wrong and say it is wrong. We have now become a people that we would not stand, we will not speak, we will not defend the rights of our country. Our country, ladies and gentlemen, coming out of slavery, achieving the independency of our country, we learn to stand and unite together. We learn to stand and watch each other back. We were once protectors of our communities. We defend the truth by any means necessary once upon a time. But we have since allowed the politicians, those who sow the seed of discord and disunity, those who have separated us for their own gains, those who have allowed the selective few to enjoy and to benefit the wealth of this country. They have confused your mind. They have shown you an enemy, an imaginary enemy, an enemy which does not exist in every other walks of life except within the political arena. They have created an enemy where you can only see within the realms of politics. But outside of politics, ladies and gentlemen, We operate as one. We live as one. When you are sick, if you at this moment get a cardiac arrest, you would go to the nearest and any doctor in any institution that you goes to. You will want the first doctor to save your life. You don't care whether it's an Indian, an African, a Chinese, a French Creole, whatever. You don't care. What you care about is to survive. If you need some medicine in the pharmacy, you would take your prescription that you cannot understand and place it in the hands of the pharmacist, who will provide the recipe as to how this medicine should be taken. And you will obey the pharmacist, whether it's an Indian, an African, a Chinese, a French Creole, whoever it may be. If you need to get home at this moment and you are stranded, you will jump in any maxi or any taxi. It matters not if it's being driven by an Indian, an African, a French Creole, or a Chinese. If you are thirsty and you need some water to survive, it matters not who give you that water, whether it's an Indian, an African, a French Creole, or a Chinese. You going to drink that water to save your life. But when come to politics, you have allowed a group of politicians to institute and to introduce to you a separation. You have allowed them to create that enemy which doesn't exist once you want to survive. When you need bread, you go to any supermarket, whether it's run by an Indian or a Chinese. You want to know why I didn't say African? Ask yourself. You ask yourself. You will go to the Indian supermarket. You will go to the Chinese supermarket and you will spend your money and buy your groceries and take it home and cook and eat and belch. But when come to politics, you have allowed a group of politicians to separate that from you. And you are so naive with it that even when it's time to go and vote, you don't care if you sit down in a car driven by an Indian, an African. But when it comes to deciding the future of your country, you have allowed the enemy to sow the seed of discourse, where even you were benefiting under the governance of the Indian. Even while you are now suffering and dying and cannot pay your bills and cannot send your children to school, You are still on the bandwagon of those who have enslaved you without shackles. You have allowed one man and a group of individuals who would support that man at all cost. A group of individuals who, when you examine their account, it is there with millions of your taxpayer dollar. A group who have taken away your employment. A group, ladies and gentlemen, who have placed you in poverty. A group, ladies and gentlemen, who tell you that I am a proud black man. But the only thing that is proud by that black man is because he continued to survive off of your ignorance. So they separate your mind. As it comes to politics, they separate your mind and they tell you that the Indian cannot be trusted. But my question to you today, is it your African leaders? Could you trust them? And you can answer that question because they have betrayed your trust as African people in this country. From the inception of Eric Williams, you have been betrayed and brainwashed into believing that this society where once we live in harmony and unity, you have allowed yourself to be deceived by the belief that you are superior, when the truth and in fact you are very weak. You are so weak that you believe that your strength is in a gun. You are so weak that you believe your strength is on a keyboard. You are so weak that you believe that you could hide behind a fake profile. Listen, my brothers and sisters. The time has come in this country where you must defend your democracy. We have a commissioner of police acting. And if I actually have it, I want him to put it up while I invite the Honorable Member of Parliament, Dinesh Rambally, to come to the head table. I want to read something for you here today. I want you to see where you are. I want you to listen to the response from Jacob with the American State Department advising their country and their countrymen to reconsider coming to your country. I want you to hear what Jacob had to say. And then you will understand where we are going in this country. You, ladies and gentlemen, have to be able, you must differentiate right from wrong in this country. You must differentiate who are your friend and who is your enemy. Go up a little bit, Archie. All right. Carry it across to the, or you could small it down, right, all the good. So listen to this. Acting Police Commissioner MacDonald Jacob says while he hoped TNT would not rank as high in certain categories of crime, it was important to avoid misinterpreting global crime ranking. On Wednesday, a U.S. State Department travel advisory called on Americans to reconsider traveling to Trinidad and Tobago because of crime. Responding to the advisory, during a media briefing at the Police Training Academy, St. James, on Friday, Jacob said he was not proud of the advisory. Referring to global crime rankings given to different countries on websites, he said, on such website placed Trinidad as being number 14, 1-4 for murders, and number 6 for other serious crimes. He urged the population to consider that these crime rankings were granted as a result of arrest. Listen, this idiot. He said that these crime rankings were generated as a result of arrests and charges brought by police. It is not just looking at the crimes that are committed, but we are looking at the crimes that the police may solve. Let me tell you something. Jacob is telling you that the American State Department is ranking Trinidad and Tobago based on the arrests that the TTPS make in this country. When I tell you in this country, when I tell you people in this country that we have a bunch of idiots sitting at the hem of a number of our institutions, I want to welcome the Honorable MP, Dinesh Rambally, who took the time out from his busy schedule and workload to be here this afternoon with us to help you understand a little better your condition. So, MP, let's get right into this conversation. I am reading where the acting commissioner of police is telling this country that don't get tied up with the crime ranking by these websites and by the American State Department. He is suggesting to the country that don't worry about that. They are placing their rankings based on the arrests that the TTPS make. So, I want to really find out today if you believe that that statement would make any sense to any sensible individual to tell us that the State Department ranking us based on the crime that we solve.
Well, Victor, let me start. Victor, Archie, are we on?
Yeah.
Right. So, Victor, let me start off by saying good evening to your viewers and your listeners of this, esteemed program. And this is really the douglAR brand. So I want to say good evening to everyone who are tuned in. Victor, it's always my pleasure to be with you, brother. Archie, I know Archie is always there supporting, so I want to hail out Archie, Vishnu Kun, Anil Roberts, and the whole gang of, those who support the Victor Roberts show. Victor, let me start off with the conversation now, this discussion. I agree with you. You really have to have a special aptitude, some real unique intelligence to make these statements that the acting commissioner of police is making. What does he mean by that? Even I am confused. So is it that if the American, Department of Security, right, Department of Defense, they decide that they are going to look at the number of murders. He is saying that don't worry about that. They look at it with the number of arrests. And therefore, as a result of that, somehow or the other, the information they are compiling and making this chart, right? This table of ranking, that is why we are where we are. So what if they use the number of murders? Are we going to be better off or are we going to be worse? As I said, I am confused, Victor. I don't know. You really have to have a special level of intelligence to determine what is meant by that statement. That is like Heinz saying that when you have a consecutive year report into human trafficking, which is done by the United States Department of Defense, they basically indicated that Trinidad and Tobago belonged to a particular tier. I think it was tier 2. And what they had found was that Trinidad and Tobago for the last last 7 years or so, had failed to take proper steps and failed to implement measures to deal with human trafficking. And Minister Heinz came out and said, not to worry too much about that report, because they look at a particular definition of human trafficking which does not accord with the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. So don't take it on too much. That is the reason why. So, Victor, I don't know. These excuses, they make absolutely no sense. And I am being polite and, of course, being mild in my language by saying, well, it is confusing me. But really and truly, what I mean by that, ladies and gentlemen, is they are speaking utter rubbish. It is nonsense. Here it is, we have gone well beyond 530 murders. And the criminologists, those who have anything to do whether it be from University of West Indies or otherwise, have anything to do with the empirical evidence and extrapolating and somehow assessing where we might be by the end of the year, they're saying that we are set to have a record high in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Here it is, the government is taking a position, no, well, look, it is not our function to make people feel safe.
Correct.
It is not our function to make people feel secure. We just have to administratively dole out some monies as we see fit to the law enforcement agencies, and it is they are the ones. So they are passing the buck. Imagine if the criminals, well, let me put it this way. Imagine no one, politician, including myself, imagine no one in the population, whether they belong to the PNM, supporters of the PNM or the UNC or any other category of political persuasion. Imagine they have no respect for Heinz. What do you leave for the criminals?
But why would you have respect for Heinz when a Minister of National Security who have failed in every ministry under Patrick Manning, he was never a full minister under Manning, always a junior minister. And I think Manning in his wisdom know why. But you have a Minister of National Security who just a couple days ago there was a shooting in Rose Hill School, and he will go on the media to tell you that it was just 200 meters away, while when you do the ballistic examination of a shot that will come from these rifles will kill you over 600-700 meters away. But yet the irony within all of this is while he was going to visit the school, he had police, he had Coast Guard, he had army, he had every form of intelligence and other agency going to the same Rose Hill school to visit, while he was telling us that the teacher was exaggerating the fact and having us to believe that gunmen was on the compound. You see how dotish this thing really is?
Victor, you know what is the sad part? So I agree with you, brother. I agree with you. I mean, the language, what adjective, what adverb can we use in our construction of our description now of this government? Except that we have to resort to these types of, dotish and what
idiotic.
Do we say? Idiotic.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine. I saw today, and I have a lot of, it is not a personal thing. I have a lot of respect for all parliamentarians, all of them, because we all have a high duty to uphold in the interest of the citizenry. But when I see a statement being made now by the Minister of Education, and the reports are that in the last week they have renewed a circular to all schools that you are to ensure that children do not use their cell phones other than for approved educational purposes. Actually, what they mean by that? They want to cut out the use of cell phones in schools so that the children and the teachers cannot highlight what happened at Rose Hill, nor can they highlight the kind of school violence that took place in Tranquility, nor in other schools. So what they want, so the problem is not to find a solution and let's get get all hands on deck and let us determine the way forward and how to treat with the situation, you know. The approach is just like them. No, the ranking, just like how you see Acting Commissioner of Police Jacob saying, that look, not to worry about that, the US has basically based their rankings on the number of arrests. So it's a foolish, it is already an idiotic distraction. Here it is, rather than find the problem, when you have that sort of level of, I want to use this terminology, level of criminality in the schools, your answer is not to deal with it, you know. Your answer is to say, no. We need to get rid of cell phones, because if cell phones don't portray that, nobody will know about it and the numbers will go down. You understand the level of foolishness that we deal with?
Well, I thought now come to head as you reiterate the acting commissioner say that the US make their analysis based on arrests. So that is good, because the amount of unsolved murders that we have in the country, if they were making it on actual murders, well then we would have been first. We would have been first. So it's a good thing. But I want to come, and actually you could probably number on the screen, because I want to come to a serious point. I want to ask Trinidad and Tobago, what is their intention in all of this? Because I want to share with you, MP, just a few of what happened within the last 4 days. I ain't going beyond that. The last 4 days. The last 4 days ago, we had Paco kill Indigo Martin.
Yes.
We had, the last 3 days, we had man gunned down, Sun Plaza. We had man shot dead 3 days ago, Starbucks. We had SRP kill 3 days ago in Tobago. We had murder in Maracas 2 days ago, man found in Kachong. We have murder in Point 14, husband come and meet wife dead. We have 3 days ago, taxi driver gunned down in Central. We have 5 Venezuelan bandits rob a Sandy Grande supermarket on Sunday. We had murder in Santa Cruz within the last 3 days. We had state main witness in relation to the cop killed in the last couple of days. We had gunmen broke into Trinity warehouse. We had angry bandit shot at driver. They going to take his car and he pelted the key in the bush. As he pelted the key in the bush, the bandit was so angry they shot the owner of the car. We also had home invasion. What you are prepared to do, Trinidad and Tobago, with all that is happening. Nobody is safe. You are not safe in your home. You are not safe in your veranda. You are not safe behind your burglar proof. You are not safe in the cinema. You are not safe in the grocery. You are not safe going to work. You are not safe even making love in the night. So what would you do about what is happening in this country? Don't you think it's time that you stand up and ensure that those who you have elected into governance, that they govern the country in the way in which it ought to? Or if they can't, then there's only one solution. There's only one solution. And MP, crime is totally out of control.
Victor, I want to ask the population. I like how you, everyone who knows this program, those who know you personally and through this program, they know you are very passionate about justice for the people. I want to know, and I want to ask the people following on what you said, that every Christmas, the last 2 Christmases that we had, 2020 and 2021, what did we do?
You have a caller, Chi? Yeah. Just hold the thought, MP. Go ahead, caller.
The solution is call election now and a jihad with your finger. Thank you.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller. I want to say that the last 2 Christmases we were all indoors, right? The government, whether we agree or disagree, the nature and the effect of what took place was that we were indoors. In 2020, the Prime Minister virtually threatened persons, if you are found going around, moving around on Christmas Day, and Christmas, that period, Boxing Day and what have you, you could be charged.
Yeah, they said, don't visit your family.
Don't visit your family.
Yeah.
The next year, so I said whether you agree or disagree, that was the effect of what was said. Last year, likewise, we were indoors, we couldn't go anywhere. You can imagine that all of us, who when we were growing up, Victor, I'm sure you and myself, we all fall in this category. My friend Darren and I, we were coming down here to the show this evening, and I was talking about this. I said, you know, just discussing what we would probably do for Christmas this year. Those who would want to take their children to a mall and say, well, okay, because they want to show the children Christmas tree, there's a sort of communal Santa who would be there, and they would allow the children to come and sit on their lap, take photos, give little knickknacks and what have you and stuff. You don't want to do that because the malls are not immune. I saw some videos coming out of Twin City Mall recently where there was like just chairs flying all over the place. People, cars, you know, are being burgled in the car park. People are being robbed and in different malls, and this is taking place. Victor, what are we going to do for this Christmas? And this is what I want to ask Trinidad and Tobago. What are your plans? How do you intend to enjoy your Christmas, which is now going to be the first Christmas after having been locked down for 2 years? Are you really safe and confident that you could go to a mall? Are you safe and confident that you could go to a Christmas village somewhere? Just as you said, are you safe and confident that you could go to midnight mass for Christmas and otherwise? And Victor, this is what people have to understand. Where has this country really reached? You can't visit family. You can't go and park your car on the side of the road. And even if you're seeing your car within, whether it be on a CCTV camera or whatever it be under your own eyesight, you can't trust that. And as Mrs. Prasad Bisesa said last night, we are all prisoners in this country now. We are living in a prison. But you know, you mentioned Gelano. Gelano was a state witness. And I just want to make some points for the people to understand the disparity in the approach of this government. Imagine Gelano, the whole idea, when you see witnesses are being killed, state witnesses are being murdered, that sends a real serious signal to law enforcement, to the criminal justice system, to those in governance. You know, that is one of the symptoms that your democracy has fallen apart, you know. The fact that here it is, you have somebody who may have committed a crime or have committed a crime, and they have turned state witness, and you want them to be able to give evidence to get to the bigger fish.
What do you thought? Welcome, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Victor. Also, the attorney and to Archie. I want to tell you all what happened today, midday 2 o'clock. Do you know bandits with guns went into a senior citizen home? A senior citizen home. That is where we reach now. We ain't safe nowhere. God help us.
And this is it. Look, this is another.
Thank you, caller.
This is where the criminals have reached, a senior citizen home, and this is why I'm saying the fact that our state witnesses have been murdered in that form and manner, and while supposedly under the protection of the state, that shows that the democracy has fallen apart. That is one of the classical symptoms. Imagine that you have somebody who turns state witness, Victor, and this is what has happened. I want to know, and this is the disparity in treatment now. You know, you're supposed to have something for child informants. So where a child has seen something, right, and may have been witness to some heinous offense, you are supposed to have protection because now you're dealing with a minor. And likewise with an adult. So you have to have distinctions in how you're going to protect these persons who are informers. You can't tell the public, I want cooperation from the public. The public is not coming forward. There's a reason for that. You are not protecting them. Imagine this man is supposedly under state protection and he is killed. What do you leave for the ordinary person to come and report something? Whether it be on tips, whether it be that they go into a station and they give the evidence and they say, look, I saw something, whatever. It means that the criminal elements are overrunning the system. And one thing, Victor, I want to ask the government this. like in Nelson Gate, did you offer Jelano to pay all his attorney fees?
Hold your thought. We're coming back right there. Welcome, caller.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Good night.
Good night. I want to say thank you so much for talking about Jelano. PNM is not talking about him. Jelano wasn't a killer. He witnessed a crime, and he was a wanted man. And they were going to put a bullet in his head anyway, because we know that. I say this because you see, the police is very corrupt. When you go to witness protection, it's like Jeffrey Epstein going into the federal prison and hanging himself with no cameras and nobody watching. You know, Jelano, his lawyer knows a lot more about the police and what they were doing, because they would have killed him. They would have killed him right there if he didn't run and hide and seek protection with a lawyer. And so I feel like Jelano's mother needs justice. And somebody needs to help her fight for justice for her son. We have young Afro men getting killed every single day, and nothing from the PNM. But they're talking about the warrior, Dr. Rowley, who is going to fight a war. He's not doing anything to help any of us. So I want to just say thank you for talking about Jelano. And I hope he gets justice. I hope his family gets justice.
Let me ask you a question, caller.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Are you prepared to stand
I'm
up?
hearing I'm hearing a feedback in the call, you know.
Are you prepared to stand up in this country to ensure justice for all? That's my question.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You was making a point, MP, in relation.
I want to also thank Victor, that caller as well. Somebody, the mother now is seeking justice.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. When you read the media reports, Victor, the police is saying that they offered Jelano security and whatever. I want to know, did you entice, did you induce, did you entrap Jelano like how they did with Vincent Nelson?
Yeah.
Did you offer to pay all his legal fees? Did you offer that notwithstanding whatever he may have been committed to or sentenced to do, that he would have gotten a presidential pardon? Did you promise Jelano that you would have ensured that if he was fined by the court that you would have indemnified him for all of that? Did you indemnify Jelano to the equivalent status of what you did for Vincent Nelson? And the police have the audacity to come and say, well, we offered it on occasions, but he refused, according to them, according to them. But I want to know that the Attorney General, as he did in the case of Vincent Nelson, did he take that step of ensuring that a full-fledged indemnity agreement advised upon, interpreted upon, and settled upon by two eminent senior counsels ensured that Jelano had an indemnity agreement that he and his family could have fall back on, so that he would have been safe and he would have been able to assist the criminal justice system? You tell us that.
Welcome, caller.
Good night, Mr. Roberts, MP Rambally.
Good night.
Mr. Roberts, let me congratulate you on air for the opening of that office in Labre.
You're welcome, sir.
I want to share my views on the collapse of this new police commission. The fact that they can't deliver a police commissioner in the stipulated time that they say they would have had it done. And I believe the leadership of this country has gotten its way again, because the choice of people that he and the president put on that commission, 3 of them were tainted. So I am not too sure if it's competency or it was designed to have the current leadership of the police service to continue for us to reach 700 murders before the end. That's all I have to say. Have a nice night.
Thank you, caller. And And this is the situation that I am speaking about in our society. I want to ask Trinidad and Tobago, how much more are you prepared to take? We have seen what this government is capable of. We have seen where this government continue to utilize state resources to benefit themselves. We have seen where the people in this country cannot provide sustenance for their children. They cannot provide books. They cannot provide devices. They cannot provide school uniform. They cannot provide transportation. They cannot provide food. What more and how much more would you take? Welcome, caller.
Good evening, Victor. El Sikoro here.
Go ahead, El Sikoro.
So I wanted to, first of all, good night to MP Rambally. I wanted to, as you were speaking about the Vincent Nelson fiasco, is it possible, MP, that we could probably get a motion against Faris to try and get him debarred from the Law Association, similar to what Mr. Tucker think did to Reggie Amo for the perjury? Could we do something similar to Faris to try and get him debarred from the Law Association to ban him from practicing law so you stop wasting taxpayers' dollars?
El Sikoro, let me answer that question.
Good program.
Thank you, El Sikoro. Let me answer that question. El Sikoro, time for all that pass. We have seen what happened with Attorney General Amor, and it's the same thing would happen with Faris Alwari. The people of this country have to stand up and defend our democracy. The people of this country have to stand up and ensure that good governance prevail. The people of this country have to stand up for the poor, the oppressed, and the downtrodden. We have seen where the government have utilized every independent institution. They have contaminated, they have corrupted, they are a law unto themselves. We have seen the amount of money that these lawyers continue to benefit from briefs from this country. You think any one of those individuals who continue to benefit from the state will stand up against the state? It is the people of the country who have to stand up and demand good governance and demand that equity take place in Trinidad and Tobago. We have to put aside. Oh, let me tell you something. These MPs cannot even get a fair chance in the parliament to represent their constituency, to represent the people, to speak on our behalf. You think that this government, this Kid Rowley administration, you think that this president, you think that this speaker of the house, you think that the president of the Senate, you think that this acting police commissioner, you think that the independent bench, you think that the law association, you think that the judiciary, you think any one of them care about you? They didn't care. We have to stand up and ensure that the people of this country, that we are safe. And I am saying tonight, in order to do so, we must come out in our numbers. We must walk the streets of this country by our tens of thousands and demand that this government govern the way in which the Constitution authorized, or to pack up and go. That is where we heading. That is where we have to head. Time for stupidness and all talk pass. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Kyle. Good night.
Good night, sir. Go ahead.
Boy. Nice of seeing Rambally and Victor Robert on his screen tonight. All that we asking for, let we call an election, or let we start the ball are rolling with the marching. Good night, sir. Makanoya.
All right.
Thank you.
He's off, but Victor, Archie, those two, not this last caller. I want to stick a pin on that last caller saying that time to march.
Yeah.
So we will return to that. But the caller before, I know we have somebody coming through.
Welcome, caller. All right.
That caller who called from El Sikoro, I want to thank him for that contribution. Archie, I wanted we will take a note of it and I want to clip it. Because based on that caller's request, I want to let that caller know that I will clip this part of the program and I will be sending it along with a letter to the Law Association.
Beautiful.
I will do that because what that caller has raised is a citizen's concern as to why it is something cannot be done in relation to a lawyer who has been clearly, former Attorney General Al-Rawi, who has clearly engaged himself in conduct which is unbecoming of an attorney of the legal profession. So I want to thank that caller.
Welcome, caller.
Hello. Good evening.
Good day.
I'm looking for Mr. Victor Robert.
Go ahead, Mr. Nightfall.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Fine, fine.
Excellent. You're taking care of yourself. I see you taking care of yourself.
Yes, yes, of course. Make your contribution because we have a lot of calls coming in.
I'm looking at Mr. Rambally. He's from Saguanas. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. We hearing you.
A lot of feedback. A lot of feedback from. All right.
All right, caller, we just need you to speak through the telephone, and if you have any other devices, I know you're probably following us on some device, just lower the volume in that one and just concentrate on the phone.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now, what I need is that when I look at the government,
Actually, that call
Are you
me in
there?
trouble.
something is in the back. Something is in the back of you. What's making that noise?
All right.
Mr. Nightfall, sorry, but you're real breaking up. You had to turn off everything else you have. I know you're calling from away, and you have to turn off everything that is there and talk in your phone so we wouldn't get the feedback. But once you have another device on, it will cause some kind of turbulence within the system, okay?
So we were talking about that. We will clip that and we will send that. So El Securo, we will deal with that, and I appreciate that call and that expression of interest, what you would like to see done. The other caller who spoke about time to march, Victor, I hope that all of these persons, and I know they will, but we must understand, everybody, man, woman, and child, they must understand that when we hit the streets to march, Victor, it cannot be a one man. It has to be everybody coming out in their numbers and showing solidarity with this movement. And it is a movement seeking justice. It is a movement where we want to take back our country.
Actually, I will send an ad for you. That one had the wrong date on it, so I'll send it for you now.
Now, Victor, I want to ask the Commissioner of Police, as we're talking about crime, I want to ask the Commissioner of Police, now that they have in their own sense and fashion and logic, by their own logic, they're saying not to worry about the U.S. agency report. Because that is based on number of arrests.
Yes, yeah.
I want to know what is the logic for the United Kingdom, the government of the United Kingdom release, which came out yesterday. And this is what they had to say about safety and security crime in Trinidad. There is a high and increasing level of violent crime in Trinidad, including gang-related incidents, particularly in and around the city center of Port of Spain, including Lavantil, Morva, Barataria. Crime tends to occur within local communities but can sometimes affect visitors. And this is what they say. You should maintain the same level of security awareness as you would in their own country. And there is a motive to attack tourists, robbery. Don't walk in deserted areas, even in daylight, and try to avoid travel beyond major populated areas. Don't carry large amount of cash. Don't wear eye-catching jewelry. Take care when withdrawing money from ATMs. They're talking about nothing here with arrests.
Yeah.
So I want to know when they're talking about theft from vehicles, theft in town and cities. Make sure your valuables is safe. If you're staying in a hotel, put it in the safe. All of these things. Crimes including rape and murder, kidnapping for ransom, assault, robbery and theft have taken place in private cars and maxi taxis.
Yes, sir.
This is the United Kingdom release.
You have a call? Yes. Welcome, caller.
Yeah, but
You coming back there?
somebody's talking very loud.
Go ahead, Mr. Nightfall. We hear you. Make your contribution.
Okay, what you know when I look at the government, I see a stink, those things from the I don't smell sweet on the tips. It's a terrible, oh my God, against them fast. But would you ever call that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we really have to apologize to the caller because we were not able to decipher his comments, his contribution. Caller, we are really sorry about that. I don't know what is, if it is on your end or our end or both sides.
No, well, it can't be our end because all the rest calls coming through properly.
Yes.
But I know he calling from outside, eh?
Okay.
Yeah, so probably.
So, we hopefully, maybe in a later call, we would hear from them in a better way.
We do apologize, Mr. Nightfall, but we really not getting what you're saying on our end here. So,
Victor, this United Kingdom, Great Britain, UK advisory, this is what it is saying. And I could go on and on, but they really paint a very bleak picture of the state of affairs in Trinidad and Tobago. When we look at Tobago, they have spoken about Tobago, but one of the main things that I see here, which is catching my eyes, is you cannot even walk alone in deserted areas, and they put here including beaches even in daylight.
But you remember recently we had a young lady who went for a walk, who was to jump out a car when some guys passed while she walking somewhere down on the west, and bundle her in a car and drive off, and she managed to escape. Then we had the incident where they grabbed this man and was going with him, and when they realized it's the wrong man, they pelted him out of the car.
Yes.
So what you're reading there, it is factual.
Yes, it is factual.
Actually, I send the correct right. It is factual, so you are right.
So this is, imagine Tobago, and I saw the head of their business chamber, Mr. Martin George, on some program either yesterday morning or this morning. Maybe it could be both. And he was essentially talking about the serious crimes in Tobago, which I believe has now reached 10 or even crossed 10 in number. Mm-hmm. And for that small island of 50,000 people, that is a high ratio compared to years gone by. And therefore, the question, why I link it to this UK travel advisory, they are saying that you can't even go to the beach in Tobago, and this wraps in right with Mr. Martin George and Tobagonians' concern that if that is a tourism-driven industry, even though you may be talking about a lot of the tourism coming from Trinidadians going to Tobago, or whether it is people from Europe and America and other places coming, international travelers, tourists coming to Tobago, it is all the same. It is not good. Our country is in a state of crisis.
And something that we overlooking, that we spoke on this program, is that we are now seeing on social media where the migrants from Venezuela, they are now involved in serious crime. We have seen where they kill a taxi driver down in Penal, not some little accident.
Yes.
And they came out and stabbed him up. Just a couple of days ago, I saw on social media where they were stabbing up another guy. Now we see in Grandy where they are now involved in robberies and ghostry. So I mean, we are totally out of control. Nobody is safe anywhere. Look, Archie running a clip there for we to see.
Yes.
I mean, watch it, Trinidad and Tobago, watch it. Yeah, let me watch. Watch it. Let's watch what happening here. Watch. Let's see what happening there.
Yeah, one guy takes out the gun from his waist, and the other one, so one went in ahead, the middle one takes out a gun for sure. That's what we were able to see.
Go ahead, caller.
Oh, I am calling from Orlando.
Yes, Orlando, go ahead.
Hello? Yeah, Victor, I'm watching you live. We need to get all those people to come. I wish out. But we need to get everybody come out there. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. So the caller is saying that we need to get everybody out.
Now, Victor, I am looking here. So that video ties in with exactly another report. And this is an international report, Business Insider. Now, these are very prominent. They are very well-established reports. There's a scientific basis. It has been tried, proven, tested. Right, and this is what they say. So it's not somebody go and poll 30 people and one person per country. They poll a lot of these places. They collate all of the data emanating from established state agencies, and it is the same they would have done for Trinidad and Tobago. And Trinidad and Tobago is in the top 20 most dangerous countries in the world. Murder, domestic violence, and sexual assaults each saw an increase in Trinidad and Tobago in 2017, and we have been seeing that developing over the years.
And this is facts. This is not fiction. This is facts. This is what is happening. And I don't know how to reiterate. I really don't know how to really say it again. That you, the people of this country, are you really satisfied with what is happening in your country? If you are not satisfied with what is going on in your country, my question to you today, this afternoon, is what you intend to do. Would you remain hiding? Because let me tell you something, the criminal element have no mercy for you, And if you believe that you safe when you lock up in your house, and you're safe when you go to sleep because you have burglar proof, well, you better think again. Because there is a number of activities that Archie could show you where these criminals have now upped their games. They come into your house by any means necessary. Welcome, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Robert, Mr. Dinesh, Archie, and to everybody out here.
Miss Santa Cruz, good day.
I am listening to what Mr. Dinesh is saying concerning the advisory. But that is not worrying our Prime Minister. What is worrying him is the state of cricket.
For good.
That is what is worrying him. And what Kamala drinking. That is what is worrying him. Maybe he should try drinking some of what Kamala drinking, and he will be a better Prime Minister. The man has no respect for anybody, and he wants respect. I want to tell him, respect is earned. When you disrespect the office that you were vying for, nobody's going to respect you when you get there. He boasted about being chairman of CARICOM. But imagine, as chairman of CARICOM, he failed at that as well. Because he didn't even know there were 500,000 vaccines circulating in the region. It's when Mayor Motley sent some for him, then he know about it. And boasting, I am the chairman, and I can say there are no vaccines circulating. And then we found out how many were circulated. Keith Rowley is a failure. And the sooner he leaves office would be the better for everybody. And you see, Mr. Roberts, you can talk from now till the cows come home. Some of these people not coming out. Because they're too busy. They have other things to do. But they can sit down on social media, call the radio stations, here, there, and everywhere. Oh, we have to march, we have to do this, we have to do that, the other. But to come out, they're not coming out. Because if it is that the situation in the country was bothering them, you will find them out there in the thousands. And before I leave, I want to tell the Prime Minister, You're begging the farmers not to raise prices. Why you raise gas prices for? Thanks a lot and have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Santa Cruz.
Thank you, Ms. Santa Cruz. The video footage before that was showing, we started off with the video and it was showing the three gentlemen. Well, I don't want to use the word gentlemen. It showed three criminals going into that place of that business establishment. Did you all see what happened when that guy took away the phone from the cashier?
Actually, you want to run back that?
That, what it shows, I mean, this really, both Victor Roberts and myself jumped in our chairs just now. Look at this. I mean, this really, look at it. This is terrible. This is terrible. Look. That poor lady.
This one catch me.
Look at the criminal elements in Trinidad and Tobago, how brazen.
Pass the phone.
Pass the phone. Okay, you take the phone from, look at
Gosh.
that. Look at that. The other video which it moves on to, Archie, you know what it showed? It showed obviously that men in a vehicle were following that young lady who was driving her car. When she turned into her driveway, look, you'll see the car passing now. Look at it. Not that one.
Right, she going in here now.
She is coming in, and you know, this is the sad reality. You are not safe in your own
And
driveway.
the seen the number plate, you know, because some idiot go say it's not Trinidad, you know, the seen the number plate of the vehicle.
There's a Honda Civic or something, PEA. And look at this.
You're not
Watch
safe.
the car. Look at it, slows down. So obviously they have followed that car. They run out. Look at what they do to this lady.
And then she lucky they didn't shot her too. Days where she should have a licensed firearm. She should have a licensed firearm, they know.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Them men care. And it seems like Trinidad and Tobago in care neither. It seems like the people of this country care about their own life, their own safety.
Now, actually, for the benefit, I want to make this point. We will get the callers going, you know, and I want callers to call in because this is a very serious matter. We have quoted certain international reputable agencies. One of the reports that we have been talking about inside the parliament and even in our debates out here, right here on your program when I came recently, Victor, and one of it is the World Justice Project Rule of Law Index. People, you must understand that these reports are done so as to measure, they have a formula. They measure a country's governance. They measure how a government is adhering to the rule of law. And part of it is the side effect of all of these things. If a country is not adhering to the rule of law, is what you are seeing in those videos. And if you think Victor Roberts and Dinesh Rambally and Kamla Prasad Bisesa and Jerlene John and Senator Wade Mark and Senator Anna Roberts are creating this, I want to get into this report to tell you who are the contributors who would have been given information in addition to the state agencies.
After the call. Welcome, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, Mr. Robert. Yeah, we had to get rid of this state and government, you know. You understand? I care about that thing over there, Mr. Robert. And you might invite Ms. Pasha walk on the show one night.
So, caller, would you be coming out on the 10th of December?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Take the next call one time, Arch. Welcome, caller.
Hi, how are you? Is
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
I'm calling from Canada.
Yes, Mr. Nightfall. Go ahead. We're hearing you.
But there's something in the background. I don't know what the hell it is.
No, but you had to make your contribution, Mr. Nightboy. You just make your contribution. We hearing you clear.
Yes. Boy, I'm ashamed of what has happened to my country. I'm very ashamed of what has happened to my country. I live in Canada, but I'm so concerned about Trinidad because, you know, I have good family there. I have good friends there. And I'm looking at this, what is happening there, it's a waste of time. I want to come back down there to live out the rest of my life, but I changed my mind when I was 5. I'm 83 right now. You know, I've been looking at Trinidad and I can't understand it. You have a government, there's a government there who's you know, everybody in that government is now. It's about time they have election and try somebody else. Because the most could happen, that person will, the new government will be there for 5 years. If they don't work out right, you get back the old one and back to the mission. You know? How is Mr. Victor?
Thank you, Mr. Nightball.
So he was, yes. Thank you, Mr. Naipaul. For those who may not
You have
have
a next
been
one, Archie?
following,
Right.
he was making the point that he wants to come back to Trinidad and Tobago. That is really, you know, his wish at this time, his great desire to come back here. But because of these same criminal elements and the lack of handle by the government on the criminal elements, that he's afraid to come back. So I know he's calling that the government needs to call the election because they can't run the country. That's what he's saying.
Welcome, caller.
Hello, good night, Mr.
Good night, sir.
Mr. Victor Roberts.
Good night.
Yes. This is the best time around seen in his life because he never thought he'd make prime minister because he's the biggest thief they ever have, this TNM government. And a nasty one, telling Munilal and Mark to apologize that about Rowley spending money in Tobago on your own. All of them is a thief. All of them encouraging crime. They're nasty. They have to move this nasty government. These bitches, they're sure they're going to hell. It's worse than the beat them.
Caller, would you be coming out on the 10th of December in that protest?
Thanks.
Now, Victor, one of the things I was getting at with these reports, I want to quote some of the names. So in addition to the state agencies providing information to these international bodies, this particular one, I have it in front of me, the World Justice Project Index, and it showed that TNT dropped, Trinidad and Tobago dropped in its rankings, you know. So after we take this call, I want to call out the names very quickly.
Yeah. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Mr. Robert.
Good night, sir.
I'm your guest. Is it possible, before the 10th, that we could have the trade union marching to President's house demanding elections because is that possible? Can we get petitions signed, taken to the president by the hand of the trade union? Because I remember that was done once and it served its purpose, you know. I don't know. Maybe we could ask the people who brought down the country initially to help to fix it back. What's your thought?
Thank you, caller. I'll take the next one time before MP.
So listen to some of these names, and I want to say it. Ariel Munsi from Girwan Dinoy, that's a prominent South attorney firm. Asaf Hussain, prominent South attorney at law. Betty Ann Pilgrim, Ministry of Health. Christopher Siuchan from MG Daly and Partners, a prominent Port of Spain firm. Don Sicharan of Sicharan Scott Chambers, prominent Port of Spain attorney. Dian Abdul from Trinidad and Tobago Transparency Institute. Gerard Hutchinson from University of West Indies. Jerome Maxime, John C. Nectel, UWE again. Jonathan Walker from Hammersmith and Company. I think we have somebody.
Welcome, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good day, sir.
Mr. Robert?
Yes, sir.
I just want to throw something in the mix for you all to ponder on. What do you think will happen? I mean, I've listened to all the contributions made by people about calling elections now and this and that as well. But what do you think will happen if an election is called and the PNM? Have a good evening.
Well, we belong to democracy. If an election is called, what we want to ensure is that we have international observers, we have regional observers to ensure that the process is done fairly. We want the EBC to run a free and fair election and not gerrymander the boundaries. And so once all of these things are done, that is how you ensure democracy is not marching down and dipping your finger alone, you know. Democracy is making sure that these agencies, which are supposed to be independent, conduct themselves in an independent manner.
Correct.
So we have to make sure the Elections and Boundaries Commission does their job independently of the government. And that is something we will not stand for if it is they are not doing it. So that is what we have to do. Don't come and call in here and say if we wonder what will happen if an election is called and PNM will win. Let them call the election and let the independent EBC be independent and act lawfully when it comes to conducting the election, all of the procedures, and let us see who will win the election.
So I want him to ponder now on if our election ain't called with the level of criminality in this country, what would be the situation of Trinidad and Tobago? You see, that is where people, let me take this call and I may go there. Welcome, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night, good night.
I'm calling for concerning a lawyer by the name. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, we hear you.
Yeah, so he migrated to Florida. All the cases that he had here, and I tried, and every time I did, he always tell me that, but never did. But I had concern in getting my money back for him.
What's the lawyer name?
Mr. Suresh Diddle.
Suresh Diddle.
I think that is a matter which, Victor, if they call you on the same number off air, we could probably try and give any advice on it. That is something else.
So, caller, we will be finishing at 8:30 today. So what we wanted to do is to call us just after you see the program conclude, and of course you will get some level of advice from attorney Dinesh Rambally. So thanks for the call.
Victor, the names I was calling earlier, so Jonathan Walker of Hamilsmith and Company, Kavita Prasad, Fitzwilliam Stone, Furnace Smith Morgan, these are established prominent firms in Port of Spain. Kerry A. Kitson, so it's not only legal firms, L. Samuel Harrison, May and Company, Michelle Ramnarain, Oscar Noel Ocho, University of the West Indies, Shivanjali Ramuta, MG Daly, Sonel David Launch, Tamara Jackson. These are persons and they are not
Welcome,
UNC.
caller.
So these are not UNC people. And that is the point we want to make to Trinidad and Tobago. When we are citing these reports stand for something. It is not just simply a snapshot at any given point in time. They follow an elaborate and very meticulous process when they compile their data. They have the best analysts in the world. Some of these analysts even are advised by people from the World Bank.
Right.
And other institutions like that, agencies like that, of that standing, reputable standing. And they put together these reports. So when you have a Mickey Mouse 2x4 acting top cop comment to say, don't worry with that report, because that deals with, they just look at arrests and we deal with something else. You have to know when you're dealing with chalk and when you're dealing with cheese. And by chalk and cheese, I really mean something else.
Yeah. And that is the reality in this country. Because this country seems, as I was saying earlier on, that we on autopilot. Nobody knows where the plane going to crash, But what is imminent is that this country going to crash. And that is why it is imperative, it is important, of utmost important, that the civic-minded citizens of this country take a stand in this country to ensure that this country have a future. We cannot continue as we are going, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, caller.
Okay, I wanted to make a second contribution. I think the UNC could win this election easily. You see, I've been listening to the PNM talk about their internal elections. And what they were talking mostly about were positions, jobs, helping their parties. And one of the things that really singled out was the constant reminder that they are going to take care of their people and not the country. And it stood out because these internal elections, UNC people watch it too. And the media watches it. And when we listen to that, you feel like you're not part of it. Mr. Roberts, there's a real bad echo on your mic. So I don't know. But I think UNC needs to focus on unity. This is not just about a party and position. This is about bringing all of us together with good leadership. And we're not hearing a lot about that. We're hearing a lot about still corruption, but right now people are so inundated with the flood and all.
Ms. Majas, does listen to the Monday Night Forum?
I do. I listen, and sometimes I get blocked because I be kind of forceful, but I do listen to her, and she really is trying. I think she's trying to meet everybody's needs, but now she's got to go one step higher now and just talk now about all of us. And I love the idea that she said that she was going to help stop the flood. She was going to do a flood plan. But she talked about arming citizens with weapons. And I think this is a good thing we should talk about. Citizens need guns. We don't need to buy a gun from somebody. We need guns the legal way. And we want to protect ourselves and our children, our parents, even our pets and animals.
Ms. Majas, I'm asking you a question. What is the problem you face in this country today?
Right now, I think there's two problems people are facing in this country.
No,
One
you.
is
What
no
problem
job.
you are facing in this country today?
Oh, me? Oh, I have a big flood problem. And I have a problem with crime. And just noise pollution and just recklessness in this country. The problem I have is flood, and it's chaotic.
So I have a next question for you. What you plan to do with the problem that you're facing?
Well, I am going to definitely vote differently, but I want to hear my mother's party and the party I voted for really help me out. I don't want you to come to my village after a flood and you have your boots on and you're walking with your crew and you say, oh, we had the flood real deep, we can't help you.
Miss Madras, Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Miss Madras, Kamla Prasad Bisesa.
I want to make that clear.
Miss Madras, Kamla Prasad Bisesa. The UNC, the MPs, the councillors, they are not the problem in this country. The problem in this country is the PNM. And while you may want to hear... No, let me finish.
No, Mr. Okay, go ahead.
Let me finish.
When you finish, okay? I want to say something.
Right. And while you may want to hear Kamla said this and Kamla said that and Kamla said the other, if you pay attention to what has been happening or what is emanating or what is coming out from the UNC on press conferences, on Monday Night Forum, on every given aspect in the parliament, you will hear exactly what the UNC plan, you will hear what the UNC plan to do, and in order to get the job done, is not to sit down and talk about you ain't hearing this and you ain't hearing that. We have to get up and get.
I hear what you're saying. But most of the people don't listen. If they watch the Monday Night Forum, the next day or the day after, nobody talks about it. Nobody spreads the word out. You only hear it in a couple stations, and then you'll hear maybe if she said something that's really shocking about a revelation, then, people talk about it. But we shouldn't wait for the Monday Night Forum to hear these revelations. This should be constant. We need a feed out there so we could just get the information to everybody. You know what I mean? Even the Afro people in this country have set up with the PNM. I talk to a lot of them.
Thank you, Ms. Majas. Have a good night.
Okay, all right.
Victor, I don't know if you will permit me to just say...
Yeah, go ahead.
To Ms. Madras, respectfully, I really feel for that area because that Il Carmen, St. Helena, Madras area. Victor, if for some reason... I think we're getting a call, so we'll take the call.
Welcome, caller.
Yes. Good night, gentlemen.
Good night, sir.
Sir Rambally, you seem to call recently. Could you post a clip on your page that people who didn't hear it, who didn't read it, can speak on it on the answer? If you didn't just call concerning the people from Trinidad International, can you put a clip on it on your page now? the people in Tuesday can all report it back again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, caller.
No.
We have an next caller, Archie?
Right. So the point I want to make very quickly with Miss Madras, and as I say, I really sympathize with them. When I say them, that particular area, because like other places in Trinidad, they are hit whenever you have rainfall. But I want to say specifically in relation to that area, if for some reason you have, any person have unusually accumulated an excessive amount of phlegm, you know what I mean by that? You have, you know, some mucus in your throat, and you spit in that area, you're talking about 4 and 5 feet of flood. That is how easily they flood out. And you need to have people who are prepared to be proactive, who, whilst they know what to do, you have to have a political will. And this government lacks political will. So if you have a party that has political will, that has competence, that has a wherewithal, and has a track record of delivery, and that is what you will find in Mrs. Kamla Prasad-Bisesa and the UNC. Are you telling me that you want to compare 2010 to 2015 with 2016 to 2022 and think that that is the same? Anybody in their right minds could find a comparison there? What this country got between 2010 to 2015 was far superior to what any other government would have done, save and except for the stabilization period which took place between 1995 to 2001.
Yeah.
And Victor, that is a fact, that the UNC government would have run this country when oil prices per barrel was $9 US, and the highest it went up to was about $11 US. And when it went beyond that, then Prime Minister Basil Pandey ensured that that money went into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. People, look, don't distract from the seriousness with what we're discussing here.
Of course.
The seriousness we're discussing here now is the fact. Look, let me tell you, whilst we're talking here, Victor Roberts, whilst we are speaking here, listen to what you have here. Alert TNT backup page, and I am glad that these sites exist there. Shooting in Wallerfield. Angry bandits shoot a man for throwing car keys in the bush. So they try to rob the man of the car. When he threw his keys in the bush, they shoot him for that. And that is what the bandits are doing. So this is what the level of brazen. And look, it would really be remiss of me. You know, all that we talk about so far, I want to return to children. I want to return to children. And this is the report. You have a CNC3 report. 6 children have been murdered for the year so far. That is a very high number, you know, 6. And they say at least half of those died by gunfire. Many more were injured after being caught in the crossfire of gunmen. And the reporter, CNC3 Carissa Lee, having spoken to various stakeholders about the killing of children, this is what the people had to say. They believe that the unwritten code that gave the elderly, women and children a form of protection no longer exists. Under PNM, the criminal elements have absolutely no fear. There is no deterrence factors existing in the society. There is no social scheme, no social issue, what you call that, support that the families have, and therefore the people are forced to commit the crimes. And when they are committing these serious crimes now, Victor, they really have no cause or care or empathy for their victims. So whether it be elderly, whether it be woman, and whether it be a little child.
It matters not.
Right?
It matters not.
So, I mean, what is this I am hearing tonight about if the election call and what will take place? Listen, if there's a communication issue, if it's one thing I know about the UNC, we are all ears on listening to what people have to say.
But added to that, MP, added to that, how the UNC continue to put out its position on social media, on website, on every given program that the UNC has. To the end of the day, the media, who ought to, we have seen recently with this TTT scandal, where they had covered how many PNM meetings free of charge. The media houses in this country, 99% of them would not bring the facts to you, the people. And while they would not do their job and be independent journalists, The people who speak most of the time and criticize the United National Congress, is my question is what they are doing, what they themselves are doing in order to ensure that this government govern in the right way. All they do is just talk and look for excuses and blame. I consider all of them to be PNM, because at the end of the day, they do just what Rowley do. Blame Kamala, blame the UNC, blame Kamala, blame the UNC. They don't want to stand up on their own 2 feet, their own 2 legs that God gave them. It's better God that makes some of them legless, because they always want to stand up on somebody else's strength. Welcome, Goda.
Hello, Mr. Robert.
Yes, good night.
Good night. This is your partner from Santa Cruz.
Yes, sir. I make all the voice.
Yeah. Here now, Miss Madras have to stop talking so much of crap from the ground report. Go right, but she's always doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know why she's talking that. Look tonight by me here. They had 4 people get shot in Panbury, Panyard. 1 died and 3 injured.
You see?
Wow.
I like how Mr. Rambally is talking. I mean, we have to. You're trying your best. I will be there on the 10th, you know. I'm telling you, I had operation, as I tell you, I had surgery, but I'll be fit enough now to come out.
Beautiful. And
I will be here.
Let me just say this inside of there. Before you continue, it is a walk, ride, drive. You could skate on a skateboard and all. You could drive behind. You could walk behind. You could ride behind. We could borrow Keith Scotland bike and all. We ride in, but we move in.
I could do that. And what happened? Remember, my expert is so fit enough I could run. Okay, sir.
Very good. Thank you so much. I want to thank that caller because he, despite having some restrictions, some limitations, the spirit is there, fighting spirit. So I want to congratulate that caller. Victor, I want to say in no entity, no person, and no political party will be perfect. I am not saying that the UNC is perfect. What I want to tell people is that I know Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, and I think I know her well enough as to how she operates as a leader, which is that no man must be left behind. She's always willing to take on board ideas. Of course, in any society, not everybody will see eye to eye all of the time and agree all of the time. But what I do know is that she has the patience, and she will listen to everybody, and she has a vision which I know the other leaders do not have. And what I want to indicate tonight is when it comes to communication, let me use the Monday night forum as an example. Victor, you and I was privileged to stand beside you on a recent Monday night forum. And what happens on a Monday night forum? You have a series of speakers. The speakers are chosen to speak on contemporary issues. So that each speaker, it will range from senators, it is a mix of senators and MPs and activists and local government speakers. And so what you will have at the end of the day is people speaking on things which goes to their particular area, if it's the councillor, MP, which goes to their constituency, but members of parliament also have to speak about the work that they do in the parliament. You are a member of parliament. So you will find that the MPs will talk about laws and things relating to governance. When the leader comes, she will speak, and sometimes, what I have noticed, not sometimes, in recent times, her speaking time, she has increased her speaking time. So whereas you would have possibly 45 minutes to 60 minutes, it is now an hour to an hour and a half. And you know what they do? You have people, in addition to little speaking notes, little bullet points and whatever, as soon, while that meeting is going on, and as soon as the meeting is finished, you have persons who are transcribing. They are not cat reporters, but they do assist in transcribing. They will take notes of Victor Roberts, they will take notes of Dinesh Rambally, but particularly, they will spend time on the political leader. So they will now craft together as best as possible a verbatim account of what the political leader has said. They will get her guidance to break it up under various issues, and that goes out to social media. All of the MPs, Victor Roberts, douglAR Politics, and the members of the media, MPs, everybody. So it is there. So you will see the text of the speech. It is emailed to all media houses. So if there's a communication problem, I'm just using this now as a reference point. If you are not seeing that level of work reaching to you, trickling down to you, you need to speak to the media houses that you follow.
Correct.
And ask them why, when those speaking notes go out to them, why when we give them clippings, we give them videos, we give them social media clippings. And I'm just told you, this happens to all of the meetings, and the political leader spends the time. I see it when the meeting is finished. Victor, how many times we have to wait? We don't mind waiting. I want to make that clear, but we have to wait for a lengthy period of time to talk to the political leader. Why? Because she's speaking to them to make sure that they compartmentalize pieces of her speeches so that it can go out for the benefit of the media. So these are things, don't put the blame where unnecessarily where it ought not to be.
And I take in a position. You see what is happening in this country. Victor Roberts, taking a position that I don't want to hear no dotish talk. I'm being frank and real. I want to hear what we're doing going forward, because I cannot see people in this country have to eat the filth from Keith Rowley and still trying to make excuses to blame somebody else for Keith Rowley failure and for your own failure. Because as far as I'm concerned, once you are a supporter of Keith Rowley, you are a supporter to what is happening in this country. You are supporting crime. You are supporting high cost of living. You are supporting fuel increase. You are supporting all the ills in society. So I don't want to hear no excuse. I want people to stand up and do what is necessary, what is legally and lawful necessary to bring back this country. The Constitution, Section 4 of the Constitution, give you the authority, the privilege to express. You have a right, and you are allowing Keith Rowley and a bunch of idiots who continue to rob and rape the treasury of this country. By your stupidity. You know why? Because you choose to sit down and be dormant. You choose to sit down and be docile while your children won't have a future, while your grandchildren won't have a future. You are seeing the most amount of hardship ever in the history of this country, and yet still you people who have a problem with Kamala Prasad-Bissessar or who have a problem with one of the MP still find it fit to call and talk a pack of hogwash instead of you stand up against what is happening. So I'm not entertaining no more dotish call. I ain't entertaining that. My mission and your mission ought to be to get good governance in this country. And let me say this one time. I am speaking about good governance by whoever sit in the chair. That's what I'm talking about. So don't feel like one track or have a one-sided man. I am saying that democracy is all of us business, and all of us must ensure that no prime minister ever again in the future erode our democracy and erode the democratic process by which this country must be governed. We have seen Keith Rowley interfere. I hear Aboud speaking about the meritless and the meritless. I am saying that we have allowed Keith Rowley to interfere and to thwart that meritless. We have seen a president who conspire and allow the whole police service commission to go down the drain, and we have an idiot as a commissioner, acting commissioner of police. Where is the investigation? Is Bliss Sipasad interview, devices seized, computer seized, what statement recording? We's a bunch of jokers in this country, and then we still have time to call to talk dotishness. But you'll get serious in this country. Get serious in this country to save the future of your children. Get serious. We are saying that on the 10th of December, we are going to start that walk from Palo Seco Junction to San Fernando. Come out in your thousands, ride a bike, drive your car if you can't walk. If you have a wheelchair and you want somebody to push you, I am volunteering to push you all the way. This is not a joke. This is the future of our country. This is the future generation that we must preserve. You know why we had it all right? Because there were those who stood up for us, that we could have lived the way in which we live. But you, the people of this country, choose not to stand up against our government simply because or you believe that that is all your government, and all you see the most trouble under the government, that all you believe is all your own. All you have nothing in this country. All you have no land. All you have no business. All you have nothing. All you have is old talk and a bunch of idiots who run in this country that using all you like a spanner. They're using all you like a tool, like a old 36 wrench with the jaws in the wrench going through. Or they just slipping and wasting time while they benefit, while they put millions in the pocket, while they have 4.4 million in a venture account, while they could build and have costs overrun with houses and president and prime minister house, and all you can't even provide food for all your children, and all you still had the audacity to call and talk foolishness here. Wrong place. Wrong place. On the 10th, that is the cause we're going to take now. We want to hear tonight how much are all you who will be texting on Facebook, who will be calling in on all the programs. We want to know tonight how many of you going to stand up and come out. 30,000 of us must be on the streets in this country, and we must stand up against all the ills of this society. We must say the murder rate have to come down, must come down. We are saying that high food prices have to come down. We are saying, the ad for me. We are saying that food prices have to come down, fuel price. We are saying the unemployment situation in this country is out of control. We are seeing the worst government. We have the worst roads. The drains and river courses have not been desilt for years under this government. We have seen an assault on our democracy by this government, and all you telling me that all you still want to sit down and waste time? Boy, all you get serious in this country. The 10th of December is the starting point. The 10th of December is the starting point. I ain't even discussing the 7th and the 15th of January. I ain't discussing that. I'm discussing the 10th. Let me hear all the callers who does call in. Let me hear what all you have to say tonight in relation to this. Go ahead, brother.
Victor, I think for those who, for abundance of clarity, we want all of you to call in, those who will be joining us on that march on the 10th of December, joining our brother Victor Roberts. I will be joining him. Call in and pledge your support. You don't know your phone call when it goes through these streams, these social media streams, and otherwise it will give encouragement to somebody else to say, no, I am going to join and hold hands and come up and join Victor Roberts, and we're going to take this march further. Victor, I want to tell people.
Open the lines for them, Archie. Open it. Let me hear them now.
I want to tell people that it is not a saying, it is a quote from a former U.S. President, John F. Kennedy. Everyone knows he is reputed to be one of the best American presidents. Very popular, very articulate. His policies are something that, developed America, and some people believe that he was ahead of his time when he was, U.S. president. And let's take this call.
Let me hear this call. Welcome, caller.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. I spoke to Mr. Roberts about the best gate builders in Trinidad. What I want the bandits to do is to rob all them East Indian people who sitting down in the home. I say kill them, rob them and let they will come out. Thank you.
But caller, we wanted to know if you come in any march. We want people to call and say that they come in any march. Come on, you all have to share some support. I want to say that John F. Kennedy, and this is what he had to say, Victor, and this is in relation to some of the comments we have heard. And freedom of speech is something that we respect.
Yeah, of course.
We respect it, and you must respect that we will disagree with certain things. But one of the things that he said is that the ignorance of one voter in a democracy impairs the security of all. You understand what he's saying there? The ignorance of one voter in a democracy impairs the security of all. I am urging everyone to understand. Don't just call and say we need to unite and we need to do this. Of course we need to unite, and that is a call that has been made, a rallying call that has been made by the political leader of the UNC, deputy political leaders, MPs, councillors. We have all been making that call since 2019, 2020, and asking people to come on board. We have been making that calls yet again. Don't use it as some flashcard in your own home or over the phone and think that you could just throw that and say, well, it is because we don't have unity. You, the people, we are urging you to come out, unite in this march moving forward. Register your demonstration, your dissatisfaction with the governance of this country or lack thereof.
Welcome, caller.
Good night, Mr. Robert, Mr. Rambally.
Good night.
Yes. Yes, I will definitely come out march.
Thank you,
I don't
caller.
think we have any other choice. But just to correct Mr. Rambally, it was Kennedy who removed Katie Jagan from Guyana as president and installed Fox Burnham. I wonder if he's aware of that.
Yeah, we are aware of that, you know.
Thank you, caller. But let
We
me
are
take the
very
next
aware
one.
of that.
Welcome, caller.
Yeah, good night. I will definitely start this walk from Palaseco.
Thank you very much, caller.
Nice.
Our next caller on the line. Welcome, caller.
Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Mr. Rambally and Mr. Victor Roberts, I want to commend you on your venture here. We have to get across to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. We need to stand up against this government. This is a runaway dictatorship that we are dealing with. The government railroaded our constitution with the bliss, the facade, and the removal of Gary, who was doing an excellent job controlling crime in this country.
Thank you.
And we have to rally with the people. The people need to come out and understand what is going on with this government and stand up against this government. I pledge.
Thank you, caller. Welcome, caller.
Good night. I come in, I bring in people in our march. But you know what I want the opposition to do? Why did he begin up Armour when he's speaking? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Walk out on the damn parliament, man. Walk out of them on them, now, man. What are making these people and have feel the real?
We can't walk out. Caller, we can't walk out.
Walk out on them.
Caller, we can't walk out. As we walk out, they go pass all them bill behind we back easy. We have to stay and fight them. But the greater fight is on the 10th of December.
If it gives that caller any consolation, I want to tell you that I could speak for myself. I have given no grace, no courtesies to Amor. Once his what you would call his maiden speech was given in the parliament, after that it was thunder under the leadership of Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa. And we, even up to very recently, I mean, we gave him no solace. I mean, but point taken. Don't be nice to these men.
Welcome,
point
caller.
taken.
Good night, Victor. MP Rambally.
Good night.
Yeah, it is my understanding that it have a rallying call to support the opposition in the crime issue that is going to be debated on the 25th of November. Isn't it? Are you guys rallying people to come out to that, or just are we going forward with the 10th of December and scrapping that rally call on the 25th of November? I'll be locked on listening.
No, I think Victor, what will happen is that the details.
Let me take this call first.
Yes.
Welcome, caller. All right, go ahead.
The details will be given. I want you all to focus on the 10th of December. I think what that caller was speaking about is having potentially something else in relation to a mobilization that will take place, but we will get details from the leadership that we will put out. This douglAR program is held on a Tuesday. Victor, what other days?
Friday.
Tuesday and a Friday, and I know it is even rerun. So if people even listen on to this douglAR forum, they will get the details. It will be put out in the UNC media pages. UNC also has a midweek press conference a Sunday press conference, so those details will be given. But I want them to concentrate on the 10th with this match.
Welcome, caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Rambally and Victor.
Yes, sir.
I am Makano again and tell Rambally and Victor I'll be there on the 10th to smash from Palaseco to wherever they quit. I'll be there.
I love that.
Thank you, caller.
We love that.
Hey,
Thank you.
All the best.
This is what we want to hear, man. We want to hear people calling. Whatever we may have, we live in a democratic society. We will have differences. But let us talk issues.
Yeah.
Let us talk issues. And the issue right now is that you have no governance, no proper governance in this country. So put aside everything else and let us focus on the prize. The prize is taking back our country, Victor.
Correct.
We need to take back our country so that ourselves and our children and our grandchildren can enjoy the hard work of our forefathers. Put aside all that nonsense. You want to hear who coming after a flood pass to come and give you some solace?
Yeah.
You don't want to hear that. You don't want to see them. That is your right. But we need to put aside those things. If you don't want the flood in the first place, you need to have a team who, when they govern the country, they know what to do.
Correct.
When they know what to do, they have a political will to do it. And they will get the job done. And I'm telling you that right now, the UNC is that vehicle, that team that can get it done. Put aside, let us come together. Victor, let's get some more of these people. We need more people to come out and support us. We need these calls, this momentum
Phone
to
lines
build.
open. The phone lines open. The number to call is 3735488. The number on the screen. Let us hear what you intend to do. Let us hear how you intend to do it. Because you see, while we could sit down here day in, day come and talk on every program and just bring the facts that in really, that not going to solve the problem, you know. What going to solve the problem, ladies and gentlemen, is your action. Welcome, caller.
Yes, good afternoon. I want to make a point that it is one thing that needs to happen in Trinidad and Tobago with this march. It is not about party. It is not about personality. It is about your well-being and your future, and if you will have a future.
Well said.
Because when the basic needs of a human being cannot be catch, which are 5, and you cannot get it right now when you don't have a country, but you're living in a bubble, right? And you don't have democracy, right? Then you have a situation with weak leadership or no leadership concerning crime, and the criminal element is rising to fill that vacuum, right? And that is what happens, and then you end up in anarchy, but it's a gradual slip down a slippery slope, right? So I am urging for the sake of Trinidad and Tobago, or you come out. I will be somewhere before you.
Point
Right?
well
So
made.
have a blessed evening, and to you and everybody else there on the show, have a blessed evening.
Thank you, caller.
Point very well made.
You have a next one there, Archie? And let me tell you one time. We are going to write every organization. As I speak, letters are being prepared. We are writing every organization, every trade union, every NGO, every chambers of commerce, every group. We writing the prison service. We writing everybody in this country. We writing all of them. All. So Espany said it when there was Grand Cross Petrotrin. All. We writing everybody. We inviting everybody. We don't care what party you support. We don't care what group you're from. We have a caller, Archie? Yeah. Welcome, caller.
Yeah, right. Victor Robert.
Yes, sir.
You're on the Santa Flora riding.
Thank you, caller.
Right.
That's a caller from my hometown.
Thank you.
Yeah. Santa Flora on board.
We appreciate that support.
Spread the word, Santa Flora. Spread the word. Thank you. Each one tell one. That is the mission. Each one tell one. I don't care if you support PNM. I don't care if you support PEP. I don't care if you support PDP. I don't care if you support whoever. We inviting everybody. You know why? Because while you support here and you support there and you support wherever, to the end of the day, I am telling you, with the continuance of Keith Rowley government, it will have nothing to support. So we are inviting everybody to come out and let us ensure good governance. I don't care what, I don't care who. What I care about is that we have good governance in this country and we have a future for our children and our grandchildren. That is the mission. That is the mission. I ain't watching face with nobody. You could come with your P&M jersey. Watch me. Put on your P&M jersey, face a P&M too, and come let me walk. Come let me walk. Don't afraid. Welcome, caller.
How are you, sir? I'm Mr. Naipaul.
Yes, Mr. Naipaul.
I could never get so much interference. Anyways, I would like to ask Mr. Rambally. I would like to ask.
Oh, so that's why. Mr. Naipaul, if you're calling, you have to take off your devices because we hearing one word now and our next word, our next minute, and our next word, so we really can't make what you're saying.
Oh, I know. I don't.
All right, actually, let me go again.
But I must commend his enthusiasm, his consistency, and wanting to participate in the program. So I really want to commend you, Victor. Let me say, I know we will be winding up in a little while. One caller called in, so I was saying, making a reference to John Kennedy and stuff. One must look at positives if we want to move forward, not looking at the rearview mirror all the time. It could equally be said, talking about Kennedy and Burnham and what happened in Guyana and what have you. Do you know that one of the most, I don't want to say accredited, but who is considered to be one of the most powerful and greatest prime ministers of Britain was Winston Churchill? Winston Churchill, for many people in India, is considered to be he was one of the most, what you will say, infamous, notorious inflictor of, torture and genocide on the Indians in India. He is considered like that for some. Look how many years later, and what do you have? You now have a descendant of direct roots of India becoming the Prime Minister of Britain. How does these countries contend or reconcile these kind of conflicts? And look where they have reached. We cannot look at the rearview mirror for everything. We have to look in front at some point when we want to drive to go to our destination, Victor. We can't keep our eyes on the rearview mirror all the time. I want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, citizens, brothers and sisters, how much blood is enough? How much blood must flow? How much more must flow throughout our lands, outside our homes, in some cases in our homes? How much more murders? How much more cases of human trafficking? Young girls, elderly ladies, middle-aged, whatever they may be. How many more do you want? How many more abductions? How many abuse of children do you want, and murders of children? How much more blood must flow before we understand what is at stake in our Trinidad and Tobago? It will reach a stage, it is becoming there, Victor, we are there already. But what do you want? How much more do you want before you will bind together and decide that you are going to become a defender of democracy, which is what this march represents, which is what Victor Roberts is calling upon you, which is why I support Victor Roberts in this march, which is why I'm calling upon each and every one of you to come out in your numbers. Come, join for the entirety of the march. You will be welcomed. You will be welcomed. You will be hailed. You will be applauded, because this is what the democracy demands on the road to taking back our country.
Correct. And that is the mission in simplicity. It's as simple as it could get. That is the mission. We are asking you to stand with yourself That's what we're asking you to do, you know. Don't feel that this is about us here, you know. Don't feel this is about Rambally and Roberts, you know. This is about all of us. This is about you. This is about your children. This is about your grandchildren. This is about your great-grandchildren. This is about the babies that your children, your grandchildren will conceive going down the road. This is something, ladies and gentlemen, we are asking you to do, not for the UNC. Not for the UNC. We asking you to do this for the future of this country. That's what we asking you to do this, for the future of the country. Stand up against this dictator. Stand up against the man who have breached our constitution. Stand up against the man who mash up and trample upon your constitution. Stand up for what is right. That is what we asking this country to do. You want to save this country, then you have to stand up for what is right. And if you don't stand for what is right, then just stay there and enjoy what is wrong. And what is wrong? Death will reach on your doorstep very soon. It seems as though when I hear the caller from Santa Cruz call in and talk about foreshooting a panyard, I was just hoping it's not Sipara with my daughter practicing. I was just hoping it's not Sipara, and that is as close as it gets. Welcome, caller.
Good night, gentlemen. Good night. Good night.
Good night, caller.
Question to Mr. Rambally. Both you and Mr. Naked dropped a letter to the Commissioner of Police. It's been a while now. What should we expect? What will be the next move?
Right. So let me get down to it very quickly. So number one, from the minute that we had the notification in the public, when I say notification, it became well known in the public domain that everything that we feared about this unholy alliance with Al-Rawi and Nelson, and this agreement that we saw circulating, and we were asking questions and we were not getting the answers. From the moment our worst fears became confirmed that this is what took place, he gave an indemnity, and it became true, and we realized the extent. You had the collapse of criminal proceedings, and that information started to come out there. Since then, we started to call for an investigation. In fact, one of the very early press conferences, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa called for the relevant authorities to get involved because we have to protect our democracy. One of the early press conferences I was in as well, Victor, and my colleagues, all of them on different forums like this, press conferences, they were calling for accountability. It is when we realized that we were not hearing from the police service, that we are not hearing from these relevant state agencies, that they are securing the evidence, they are not going and seizing devices, or at least calling in for the devices from the players involved, namely the Prime Minister, Al-Rawi, Amor, Sagram Singh Suklal, Minister Hines, Stuart Young, and others. When we realized that was not taking place, Senator Naked, and of course, you know, in collaboration with others in the party, he decided that he was going to put pen to paper, and that is what was delivered last Wednesday. So when we met last Wednesday, and this was carried, of course, on our social sites, media sites, and it was carried in the media, print media at least. And what we indicated was that we met. We didn't go there and just deliver a letter. We went there and we demanded that we meet with the acting commissioner of police. And we did thank him because he did meet with us. And having met with him, we emphasized the nature of the document we were dropping off with him. We emphasized the two key areas. One, that in our view, all of the ingredients of serious offenses, perverting the course of justice and misconduct in public office were made out in our view. But we are not in a position to determine that. You have to investigate it, get the evidence, take the advice of the DPP, and proceed ahead. And we brought that to his attention. And the second point we emphasized with the commissioner was that you need to take devices. You need to secure all these devices because you have to secure the evidence. So we left here with his undertaking that they were already liaising with the Director of Public Prosecutions and taking the lead of the DPP. So we are giving him 1 week, which will soon dawn on us, and we are going to be writing to the Director of Public Prosecutions, and we will follow it from there. That is a process. He has indicated that he is taking advice. Our letter, in any event, without him saying that, did indicate to him that he must go to the DPP for advice. So we were happy to hear that. So what we want to say to that caller, I appreciate the concern and what they want to yes. So what we want to say is that that is the status, and what we intend to do is we intend to follow up on those letters. It would be premature of me or of any lawyer from now to indicate what is the next step. We do have some ideas of what we are going to do, but it depends on exactly what takes place. As I said, the commissioner said he's already taking the lead from the DPP, and we will be writing to the DPP. So we will be reporting back. And if things don't go the way that we know it should go, according to the systems in place, we will be upping it that notch. I don't want to distract people with that. What is needed now, and I return to the point, while letters are being delivered, while actions can be filed in the court, while we can file judicial review, while we can request mandamus orders in the court, mandating authorities to take steps, while that goes through the motion and the other side is entitled to a right to respond and a right to be heard, people are dying in this country. People are being gunned down. You have heard Victor Roberts. How much more blood do you all want to flow? Do you want it to come banging down your front door and coming inside your home before you say enough is enough? This is what is necessary now. Our duty, our civic duty demands that we engage in this kind of, and I said it recently, you know, unlawful action and governance which is lacking must be met with lawful resistance. Nobody is saying to go and vandalize anybody's place. Nobody is asking you to commit a crime. Nobody is asking you to breach any law. We are saying that we need to show this demonstration to send the signal that Keith Rowley, you need to seek that fresh mandate. The country, if thousands of people come out there, it will send the signal that thousands of people are saying to you that we don't have faith in your governance and you need to do the right thing. But everybody must come out. That is what we need to keep the eyes on the prize. That is the focus right now.
So I have two questions here for you. One, want to know if lawyers will be on the march. I think you mentioned earlier on that. So let me help all you. MP Dinesh Rambally is also an attorney at law, and he indicated to you that he will be there. So they want to know if any other lawyers would be there.
A lot of lawyers is going to be there. Mr. Kyle Taklal Singh is going to be there. He is one. Victor, I mean, people, maybe we take for granted what people see and what they perceive. I want to let you all know that the United National Congress is a very cohesive party. It is a very well-oiled, machined, refined machine. Yeah. And what I want to say to you is that you have lawyers of the caliber of Kyle Taklal Singh, of Renuka Rambajan, a prominent female attorney at law. You have MP Saddam Hussein. You have Arnold Ram. And you have those who may not be practicing attorneys, but they also have law degrees within the party. You have myself. You have attorneys will be coming on this march. So what I am saying to everyone, so that is to answer the question. But Victor, what I probably and what you probably take for granted is that we have a unity. When I say this is my brother, I am not just saying it in words. We met. We even met today. We met last week. We talk on the phone. If we are not WhatsApping, we are talking every day. And this is something that goes throughout the party. And therefore, yes, you are going to see attorneys there. The attorneys, the intention of the attorneys, and maybe I shouldn't say this,
Make it plain.
But the intention of the attorneys is to alert the acting commissioner of police and the police even before what the law requires, that you must do it 48 hours before. We are going to let them know of our intention, so that if it is they intend to take any steps, they cannot say that they got too short notice. And we will be complying with the law. And I want to see what they will do. On what basis are they going to say, well, no, we're not permitting something. I want to say it again, Victor. I cannot say this enough. People, stop watching what the neighbor doing outside or inside their bedroom or down the road. You know what all you are entitled to do and required to do is to encourage your neighbor. Don't watch to see if they take any first step. You go outside and just walk on the pavement. If it is the government actually maintaining your pavement on the road, you go and you walk by the neighbor and you knock on the gate. Call them, shout, whatever it is. And when they come out, tell them, listen, Victor Roberts, we are having this march, defenders of democracy, all these issues that continue to trouble you and me as people in the community. They want is a rallying call. We need to go out and tell the neighbor here what's going on. We need to send out a message, and I want to know if you will accompany me on this march. We're going to meet Victor Roberts on the 10th of December, Palo Seco. This is what is required, and that is the unity we should be calling for, Victor.
We're going to notify all the relevant authorities. We're going to be writing to all the media houses. We're going to invite everybody, because what is happening in this country, it is everybody business. Whether some of them saying down and getting the big money quietly, it will very well be rather sooner than later that they themselves would not be able to enjoy the same big money that they're collecting, whether under what pretense. Because let me tell you something, the criminal elements have no respect for, because and let me just add this inside there. You know, what you are seeing on the ground is a mirror as to what is happening in governance. They are robbing you with the guns and killing you. The government is robbing you with the pen and still killing you. But the danger with the government is that while the bandit will just kill you, the government will kill the whole future generation of our country. And that is why what is happening in in governance, it is much more serious than what is happening on the streets. Because let me tell you something, a competent government will take care of what is happening on the streets. But let me tell you something, who going to take care of those that rob you with the pen and murder your generation? You have to stand up. You have to do it. This is a national call. We are going to inform every radio station. We are going to inform every TV station. We are going to inform everybody, but we are asking you to help us save you. That is what we are asking you, help us save you. And in order to help us save you, you must get out and tell your neighbor, tell you, the pastor, the same pastor who telling you God go provide. You want me to tell you something? Under the pandemic, Rowdy provide for them, All they may not have gotten out of it, but Rowdy provide for them. So we write in the IRO, we inviting everybody. Let us see who's serious in this country, because I can clearly remember between 2010 and 2015, we had the church outside there too, We had the church walking the length and breadth of this country. Welcome, caller.
Yes, hi, good night.
Good night.
And I just want to put ourselves on our, we keep asking for a fresh mandate. I want us to be very careful. I want us to watch what happened in the midterm elections in the states. All these waste down people win. They win debate. They're too dumb to debate, but they get in vote, and it's all because they use a strategy to extend the counting time. And when they extend the counting time, I don't know how they're using the extension of the counting time to cheat. So they cheat and they cheat and they cheat. And they lost the Senate, and they get the Congress by a very narrow margin. In the end, we could call for a fresh mandate, because I see our PM following the footsteps of the US PM exactly. If you ask Biden what he did to improve the lives of the people, the answer is same thing like Rowley. Absolutely nothing. Nothing he did. Exactly like Rowley. Rowley in his footsteps of Biden. And they will come and say they want time to count, and they go count and count and count, and they go cheat.
Kola, would you be coming out on the 10th?
We have to be on the alert. We want them, because one of the bright persons who lost all the time she well bright, and I don't know at the last minute how she lost. And then she said, what we have election day. We don't have election week and election season to count.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for the advice, but we will make sure that we have the necessary people in place that they cannot thief as they did before. So thank you very much. We will be gathering at the Palo Seco Junction on the 10th, and we want to kick off that march promptly at 7 a.m. Promptly at 7 a.m. So the muster point would be in Palo Seco Junction. You can't miss it. Die by the market, die by the Chinese grocery, and listen what I say, by the Chinese grocery, right in Palo Seco Junction. So you won't miss it. All right? So I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, this is about all of us. We are inviting everybody. We asking you to do your part. Tell your neighbors, tell your children, everybody we want outside, man, woman, and child. Because let me tell you something. If you can't walk, you could drive. If you can't drive, you could ride. And I said before, if you even have a wheelchair, and I and Dinesh Rambally had to push you, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Have no fear. That is the mission. Each one tell one, and we will get the job done. We had to wrap up. I will ask the MP for his closing words, and we're going to close off at this point. So MP, any closing words you want to?
Victor, I think all that has to be said. You have already alerted the population to. I would only want to take this opportunity. Victor Roberts, my brother, I want to thank you very much for inviting me to come on again. Victor, I want to urge you to continue with your fight. I want to commend you on the initiative that yet again you are taking up an initiative and you want to pursue something defending democracy. We need more citizens like you. So I'm glad you're doing this, and everyone, I'm urging everyone to come on board. douglAR Politics, Vishnu Kunkun, Anil Roberts, Archie, I want to thank Archie. Archie's a man always in the trenches with us and facilitating us, no matter what time of the day, no matter what time of the night. So Archie, I know Kyle Taklal Singh and others, Darren, a lot of others who are involved in this initiative. We want to thank the party and everybody else. You know, there are a lot of names that if I go to get into that now. But the point about it is, let me just say one thing, having thanked the main players involved. I want to say to Trinidad and Tobago, to my brothers and sisters, if we stand together, we stand united, we will be able to save our country, Trinidad and Tobago. We need your help, and we will help you. If we stand together, we will be able to take back our country, and this is what is needed. Put aside any kind of petty politics. Put aside review mirror issues that you may have had in the past. Put aside everything. The country, our country, is crying out for our help. So I'm asking all of you, I will be there. I will be joining Victor Roberts. I want everybody to join us as we move forward. Victor, let me hand over to you. Thank you.
So I want to tell my brother that the honor is all mine to have him on the program. Of course, this would not be the last. We're going to maintain a certain level going forward, Friday and on Tuesday, because all we would be dealing with is the mobilization aspect of this this march. There is an activity that I will speak on Friday that we may ask some of you to attend at Woodford Square, and on Friday I will give you a little information on that. But as I said before, the main content of everything that is happening would be on the 10th, and then after the 10th we will put in place the date, because 3 arms that we will be taking, right? But the 10th is the starting point from Palo Seco, and we asking you to come out in your numbers. Let us send that message. I am telling you, if 30,000 of us come out on the streets of Trinidad and Tobago, I am just asking you to do the same thing that Heinz was asking people to do in 2014, 2015. Heinz was asking the people of this country, he called for 180,000 people to come out and block every road. I am going to be more responsible than Heinz. I am asking you to come out. We are going to do the necessary documentation to ensure that everything runs smooth. You heard what the MP said, that we're going to notify the police on time, just in case, for some political reason, there may be a bias, then we have other options to deal with, right? I would not reveal the options now, but we have options to deal with. So I am asking you, citizens, come out in your numbers. Let us save the future generation. Forget what they have done to you. Forget how they have abused you. Forget how they use you. But ensure that they doesn't abuse and use your children and grandchildren. Worst, of course, don't allow them to use your children and grandchildren as to how the PNM pedophiles have abused our children in these homes. So go with God, stay blessed. Good night, we out.